Welcome to Beyond the Block podcast. I'm your host, Karina Hogan. This podcast is for the woman who is tired of repeating the same cycles and wondering why she keeps ending up in the same place. We're going beneath the surface into the wounds, the patterns, the fears, the parts of yourself you've been avoiding because your triggers are not your enemy. They're showing you where you still need your own love. This is where you stop surviving and start reclaiming yourself. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond the Block podcast. So, hope you guys are having an amazing week and loving the summer weather here, even though it has been tornadic and rainy here in the state of Illinois, which really fucking sucks. So, one thing I want to say is I'm very grateful for everybody who continues to listen to the podcast, considering that I have rebranded and just taking the podcast in a different direction and doing the things that I need to do to really light up my soul. And of course, if you've listened to my previous episodes, so I am building something really awesome with my coach, Tay Daniels. It is under a licensing partnership where it's under a trademark. So this podcast and my second brand is under a partnership trademark licensing with my coach. So I will be teaching my own methodologies plus hers under this trademark. So I'm very excited about it. And it's really, really good because the topics that I'm talking about just really light up my soul. So make sure that you guys subscribe on TikTok at The Woman After. That is my TikTok handle. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast. So I don't have a lot of social channels because, I have two different brands and I'm a full-time mom and it's a lot to handle. So I am mainly on TikTok for right now. If I happen to add any other social channels, I'll make sure to let you guys know. So thank you for continuing to listen. And if this is your first time listening to this podcast, hi, my name is Karina. I am the brand owner of The Woman After and the owner of Beyond the Block podcast, which this name was created by a wonderful, amazing woman, Carmen, that is part of my community of women that I am a part of. So thank you, Carmen, for that. So I am I don't want to structure myself as really a coach, even though that's what it is that I do, but I do help women break the cycles and the addiction of attachment styles and to start the path of healing their father wound. So I'm more of a pattern interrupter. So I interrupt your cycles, your patterns, and we really dig deep to really hone in on the roots of why you choose men who are emotionally unavailable, unhealthy, and to give you the tools and the guidance and just, rebuild yourself into a more secure woman so that you can choose partners who are right and healthy for you and even choose, different types of relationships that are healthy for you so that you know how to recognize and have self-awareness on the different patterns of red flags, people who make you feel uncomfortable, and making sure that you have emotionally neutral and safety when it comes to relationships. So that is the core of what I do. Now, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about why healthy love feels wrong after emotional chaos. Shit, do I have a lot of knowledge and a lot of life experiences when it comes to this kind of topic? Okay. So what I'm going to be talking about is your nervous system, attachment, how to learn safety, and why calm and peace, feels very unfamiliar. So I can tell you that when we encounter somebody who is genuinely good, that has the green flags, that, you feel a certain calm and peace and a certain amount of emotional safety around, and your nervous system is like, okay, this is good. And you're kind of gearing more towards that being secure and not being very anxious as why aren't they texting me? Why haven't they called? Why aren't they responding? Why, right? The reason why healthy love feels so wrong to your nervous system, especially when all you know is chaos, typically stems from something in your childhood where you didn't feel validated. You had an absent father. Maybe your mom was absent and your relationships suffered when it came to men and dating. And maybe you had to do things to seek validation. Like you had to outperform to seek validation because that's the only way you were shown love. Or you were shunned, you were abandoned. And that's why you hang on to people so tightly because you don't want to lose them. So when somebody who has emotional intelligence, who is emotionally available, who knows, okay, I have to take my time to make sure that they feel safe with me and that I can feel safe with them. Your nervous system starts going, oh, fuck, no, this is wrong. We can't do this. This is unhealthy. So because you're so used to chaos, I can give you a perfect example. I have the father wound. My biological dad was not in my life for most of it. Okay. And currently is still not. And the thing was is that when he would appear, I would do everything I could to be the good daughter, to make sure he stayed, to make sure he did this and did that, and to make sure that I kept him in my life because that part of my life was missing. And then when he would ghost, he would give me the silent treatment. He would never show up. He would promise things. He wouldn't deliver. Like my nervous system was always in the state of fight or flight and chaos. And my relationships with men after that was just the fight or flight or chaos because every man left. There were men that cheated and told me that they weren't going to stop cheating on me because that's just the way it was. I remember I caught my first husband cheating, and this was before the whole thing with internet dating started to kind of take a rise, and it was through like AOL Messenger and things like that. If you guys remember that, if you're Gen X, you can remember that, or maybe those elderly millennials. And he was, sending messages back and forth to a young woman saying that he was single and all he had was his dog. And he had left the computer open enough for me to find it. I made the mistake of, because I was in that constant emotional chaos and my nervous system and my attachment style was like, no, we got to hang on to this person. I ended up marrying this person and he told me he was just going to continue cheating because he was caught and he didn't care what I thought. So I went ahead and just ended that marriage and I couldn't take it. And considering that he decided that he got into a relationship 2 months after, the annulment was done because we hadn't been married a year. And unfortunately, that person found out who he really was because, of course, everybody shows their true colors in all their cards. And he ended up homeless. However, my nervous system, and because it felt so familiar to be around chaos, that's how I kind of operated. And my nervous system was always like that. And recently, a year ago, I went through a really difficult breakup. It was a severe heartbreak that I went through, and it was my second relationship post divorce. I have been divorced since 2019, and I've had two relationships post divorce. And I tell you, it has rocked my nervous system because both of those relationships, both of those men were exactly the same. It was the same emotional unavailability. It was the same silent treatment. It was the same just pattern. But there was a difference between both of them. The first relationship that I had, he projected his insecurities onto me. And when it was too late and he had a conversation with me, it was, I know I screwed up and I did wrong. And this is what I'm accountable for. This is what I'm working on. And I'm very grateful that he's working on that. But I was at the point where I'm sorry, but I cannot. You hurt me to the core. I cannot give you another chance. And it was very painful to go through that. But there was something very healing on my nervous system because I knew I had to do that. I can't operate out of chaos. I can't let my attachment style continue to hold on to this person when he doesn't want to be there. Now, the second person, which this was recently, and I know you guys heard me talk about a lot about him on the podcast. However, he is a very significant part to the work that I do to help other women. And this person is a really good person. However, he needs to fucking go to therapy. And the reason why it was so hard to let that part go and let him go and really just put the focus back on myself, because when I met this person 2 years ago, he gave me such calm, peace, and emotional safety. And on top of that, aftercare, intimacy can be viewed in a million ways, but You all know about the aftercare that I'm talking about. And that is something that I hadn't experienced in years. There was one other person that actually made me feel that way, and it had been years. So it's kind of the terminology where he melted the ice queen because, man, like I used to be called the ice queen 20 years ago because I was so cold to men. It's because of the way I was treated by my biological dad. And I didn't have the tools and resources to really work on myself and say, you know what, I can't operate out of this space like this because I'm pushing away people that are pretty good. And I have ruined and destroyed good relationships because of the way I was. And that was never right. So, but I've learned from that because that's not how I wanted to operate. And I want to give people a fair chance. And then if they show me they're really not that good, then I just leave. Right? This person calmed my brain. He made sure that I felt safe, that I was emotionally safe, that I felt like I could just be me around him. And because he had not healed his traumas and he had not healed from who had hurt him 3 years ago, that's why our relationship didn't work. And when he broke off our relationship, it was really devastating. But then wanted to come back 5 months later and offer me an apology. And listen, I'm always accepting of an apology, but there also has to be accountability behind it. And the thing is that my nervous system was like, okay, here we go. You destroyed me and now you're contacting me again. And I had to really just say, okay, I got to step back. I have to figure out why this makes me feel anxious, why this makes me feel this way, why this makes me feel unsafe. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to be self-aware. And I'm always going to explain this. We have to be self-aware and we have to recognize people's patterns and things that are uncomfortable for us and the red flags that people do show you. People will show you who they are in the beginning. It's up to you to fucking pay attention and to recognize it and be self-aware and say, no, that person don't make me feel good. How does this make me feel inside? Is this a good person? Because men who actually want you, let me tell you a few things, okay? They are going to stop at nothing to make sure that they have you in their space all the time. And they're not going to allow another man to snatch you up. Okay. Men will take their time to make sure that you feel emotionally safe, that you are calm, and they can heal parts of you that you never thought, oh my God, this actually heals a part of me that I never knew I needed healing. Now, I'm going to preface this with the healing that is your responsibility, that you need to heal your own fucking shit is your responsibility and for you only. Another person cannot heal you for what you are responsible for. They can support you. They can guide you. They can hold your hand, say, hey, I'm here for you. If you want to talk about it, that is healing parts of you from somebody else who gets you. They understand, they see you, and they love you through all your fucking shit. One of the best pieces of advice that I've ever heard is don't choose someone who you can have fun with. Okay. Let me repeat that. Don't choose the person that you can have fun with. Choose the person that you can suffer with. Because if that person is with you through your depression, when you feel emotionally chaotic, when your nervous system is a wreck, when you're fucking anxious, when this calm and peace feels like, oh my God, like, the whole world's on fucking fire, and that you need that emotional safety, and they're through and through, and they stick with you through that, through thick and thin, that's the fucking person you should be with. That's the person you should marry. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have fun with this person, but there is a difference because when you see I can have fun with them. And then in the moment of, let's say, you have a medical emergency or you get stricken with cancer or something happens and then that person walks out, say, no, I'm not going to deal with this. I thought we were having fun. How does that make you feel? I will always pick a man that I can suffer with, that if I had a medical emergency and he was at my bedside every single day. If something were to happen where my depression came in and I say, I can't get out of bed today. And he says, you know what, babe, I got you. And I'm going to help you through this. That's the partner I want. That is the best friend I want. That is the soulmate that I want. That is the business partner. So never, ever, ever turn away healthy love. What you need to do is you need to check your nervous system and say, okay, why is this making me feel this way? What can I do to, not really feel this way? And what are the steps that I can do to feel more secure instead of feeling anxious? Okay. Being calm and having somebody love you in a healthy way and feeling peace and having emotional safety after you've gone through nothing but fucking chaos, it's going to wreck your nervous system and it's going to feel unfamiliar. It's going to feel foreign and you're going to be like, what the fuck is going on? It's going to be uncomfortable, but we have to accept the things that are uncomfortable and we have to go along with it. It's the same thing with growth, okay? You're going to do things that are uncomfortable, do things that are out of your comfort zone. It's the same thing with relationships. When somebody shows you in the healthiest way that they love you, that you are safe with them, that you can have a calm brain around them, it's going to feel unfamiliar and it's going to be fucking scary. Give it a chance. Like I said, people will show you who the fuck they are in the beginning. Be self-aware and make sure that you keep your eyes open and that you notice the red flags because they're going to be presented to you in the beginning. That other person may not be aware, but you have to be self-aware. Okay. So that is it for this episode for this week. So make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast so you can get the latest episodes on when I drop them, and also follow along on TikTok where I drop some really good videos where I talk about all kinds of topics on how to become the woman after heartbreak, divorce, and all the scary shit when it comes to relationships. So thank you so much for joining me on this episode, and I will catch you guys in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode. You were never meant to spend your life fighting yourself. The patterns you created helped you survive, but the woman you're becoming needs something different. If you're ready to break the patterns that are keeping you stuck, grab my audio series, The Pattern Breaker Reset. If you need full transformation and to reclaim your identity, join the Woman After program. Link is in the show notes. Remember, the breakthrough is that one decision that changes everything. Share this episode with another woman that needs to hear it. See you in the next episode.